Hello, Dr. Kaz here. Recording this short video to show you how you create your ePortfolio. My focus is on the format of the ePortfolio. So I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. So I would like to just highlight the course objective. So the overall objective of this course is to help you to create a comprehensive electronic portfolio, in short, ePortfolio. In the ePortfolio, you will showcase things you have learned in your degree program. The ePortfolio must be aligned to the North Carolina digital learning competencies for educators and the International Society for Technology in Education standards for educators. Now, I'll briefly go through the International Society for Technology in Education standards for educators just to highlight the key areas of the standards. And of course, this area or these standards are the same which were adopted by the North Carolina digital learning competencies for educators. So the first standard is that educators should be learners. Educators should be learning continually to go with the development of technology in education. So the educators should not stop learning. There will be lifelong learners so that they can keep up with the development of the technology. And now this standard has some components within it. The same applies also to each of the other standards. The second standard is leader. This standard highlights the importance of educators to be leaders in advocating for effective use of technology in teaching and learning, and advocating a learning environment in which technology is used to improve students' learning. Standard number 3 is that educators should be digital citizens. So the educators should know how they can use technology in this digital age, because this current time is also known as digital era or digital age. And we, as educators, we are supposed to be citizens in this digital world. Now, we need to know how we can appropriately and respectively use technology in this environment. Educators also are expected to be collaborators. So collaborating with other educators to gain new knowledge and create new knowledge as well. Number 5, educators expected to be designer. Here, educators are designer in a sense that they design learning instruction. They design a learning material which facilitate effective learning for students. Educators also should be facilitators. So not only designing, but also using that whatever it has been designed to facilitate learning, to make learning effective and successful. And finally, educators are supposed to be analysts. Now, here, educators under this standard are expected to correct data and analyze data and use the result to improve learning and learning solutions so that student can learn better and the learning environment can be supportive and inclusive to all learners. Moving forward, we'll talk now about the portfolio format. Now, the portfolio format I expect you to design should be in a form of a website. Now, website must have menu. And this menu, you can place it on the top side or the left side of the menu, or you can think of other way of putting your menu, but the key principle or the key thing here is to make sure that your website have a menu where once people visit your ePortfolio, they can navigate the website following that menu you created. Now, the first item on the menu must be the about or the home page. I will provide more details on this, but the home page is like an introduction in where you introduce the website. Before the website, actually, you introduce yourself, then you introduce the website. What is the purpose of the website? And what do you expect your audience to see from your website? In the menu also, the educators' standards should be listed as part of that website menu. And as I said, that each standard has components within them. So the components of each standard should be submenus. I will show what I mean in the coming slides. The portfolio also should include interactive navigation menu. This menu, which I've just spoken of, should be interactive in a sense that they should, your audience should be able to navigate like back and forth easily within your website. And also that website should also contain relevant artifacts from all completed courses in the program. I will provide more details also on that in the coming slides. The portfolio also, you can select or create and upload artifacts, or you can provide links to the artifacts within the related component of the menu. Now, regarding artifacts, you can select your artifacts from different courses taken at NCCU during the current program, but also you can select and use artifacts from your workplace if you're currently working somewhere, but also you can use artifact from internship if you have conducted any internship so far, and you can use those artifacts to create your portfolio. But be sure that the artifacts you use should be those which you created after joining the program, not before joining the program. Also, you can create artifacts specifically to include in the ePortfolio during this course based on the knowledge which you have learned in different classes in the program. So you can create a specific artifact to include. And when I talk of artifacts here, I mean an evidence of what you have learned. This can be something, for example, if you were given as maybe an assignment to create something or to write a paper which you think that it can showcase key things you have learned at NCCU, then use that assignment as an artifact. But also, it can be a final project you created in any class. So at each component, you think of which artifact can relate or can align well within that component of the standard. Okay, so it can be also teaching and learning material you created if you're teaching already or if you're instructional designer already. It can be anything you created for this purpose. I mean, to help students learn effectively. For each artifact, you need to explain it, to give explanation of that artifact. For example, you say when you created that artifact, what was the purpose of creating the artifact? Also, you need to reflect on the creation process. What challenges, for example, did you face? What was so in maybe what did you enjoy in doing and creating that artifact? What was frustrating? Uh, and so explain, reflect on the experience, the situation you 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 underwent when you were creating the portfolio. But also, if possible, I would like you to cite sources of information relating to that artifact you created. For example, we know that there are learning theories which align with, for example, the materials we create to support learning. So you can use, you can relate your artifact to learning theories. You can relate your artifact to instruction design principles, or you can relate it to instruction design models. Yeah, and so forth. You can relate it, for example, to universal design of learning framework, and so on. So that is the reflection of the artifact, and also you need to provide sources of the information you include in the reflection. And when I say sources here, now it can be books, it can be maybe website on which we get content you shared in your reflection. Now, example of ePortfolio. I'm sharing this as an example, but I'm not restricting you to like only focus on this format. You can be creative and design in a different way, but it should include the key things I mentioned. For example, on the menu, you need to have the menu. You need to have the first item as a home page or an about page. Then after that, on the menu, there will come the educator standards, each standard standing as an item on that menu. And also the component within each standard should be the sub menu. Now I'm going to show you this website here. It is an ePortfolio I created when I was completing my doctoral degree. Now, remember, this is just an example of the format. Don't focus on the content. My ePortfolio, based on different professional standards than the one we are focusing on for your ePortfolio. So I'll go ahead and share that ePortfolio I created. All right. So this is my ePortfolio I created for my doctoral degree program. Now, as I said, the first item on the menu is a home page. And for the home page, I have introduction of myself, and also I stated about my career goal. And after that, I explained the format of this ePortfolio, and also I briefly talked about like my teaching philosophy, all right, and also explained how users of the website, they can navigate in the portfolio. Now, after that, the other items on the main menu you see, these are the standards as I stated here. The ePortfolio is based on the standards which were developed by the Association for Educational Communications and Technology. These standards, they are mostly used by professional in educational technology and instructional design in higher education, like universities. But the standards, I am asking you to create the ePortfolio based on. These are used in K-12, but also sometimes they are used by professionals in higher learning. All right. Okay. So going back to the format now. So what I was saying is, you see the items on the main items on the menu are the standards for professional in higher education learning, professionals in educational technology, and also educational communication. So each item of the menu is a main menu. And within each, you have sub-menus. These are components within each of these main menus. So each item of the menu, it has sub-menus, which are, as I said, are the elements on each main menu. So you have content and content knowledge, content pedagogy, and so on and so on. So the last standard is research. So after that one, I added another item regarding dissertation, where I shared my dissertation. Now I'm going to open on each of these main menu just to help you, to show you what I shared on each menu. So when you click on each of the main menu, it will open a page where I briefly present the standard and the substandards. Now, within the description of each component or indicator, for this case, of that standard, I have a link which it will take you to that specific indicator. When you click on that, it will open that specific indicator, and also you will see the artifacts I created or included on that specific indicator. Now, I have this like description of the artifact, but when you go down, you see the reflection. Now I'm reflecting here on the process of creating this artifact. When was it created, and what was the context of creating this, and so on. And finally, I have references which relate to that artifacts. Now, there are two ways to navigate from that indicator to the next one. you can just click these two buttons here. So the next and the back, it will take you forward and back. And this is what I was talking about, navigation, help, like easy navigation within the website. So when I click, for example, next here, it will take me to the next indicator in there, in that specific standard. Now, I can continue doing that by just clicking those bottom buttons. Now, if I want to move to go to the next menu, main menu, I can just go on the top menu and click on that specific menu, and it will open. And again, as I showed you on the previous standard, you have the indicators listed here and the explanation or the description of that indicator. And you have a link to each of the artifact within indicator. So there is at least one artifact for each indicator for this case. But for you, those are the components or are the elements. It's okay. So what I need is for you, make sure that you state the standard at the top. You can include an image which relates to that standard, as I did here. Then you need to provide the description of that standard. Then after that, you provide the description of components within each of the standards. For this case, the components were known as indicators. All right, so I can move forward here to the next component within the standard. And yeah, if I want to go to the main menu to navigate to the next item on the main menu, just click on that specific item. And when I just hover over my cursor there, it will show all the sub menu within that main menu, and so on and so on. Now, for the dissertation here, if you click that one, it will take you to a PDF, which I shared here, of my final report of my dissertation. Okay, so that is the format. Now, as I said, this is just the format to show you the layout, the structure of the ePortfolio I'm expecting you to create. So you can add other things like contacts, how users they can contact you. Okay, see me here. All right, and also you can add like signature on each of the page. For me here, I included a quote, which I really like, which encourages the use of technology in the 21st century. And you have my name listed here, as you can see. All right. So this is just a format. You can be creative and create yours, maybe in a different way. It's okay, but be sure to include the menu, which is the key or the measure standards within the educator standard, which I shared at the beginning of this video. Okay. And next, I would like to also share some tools. Now, please note that these are just recommendations of some tools, and I really encourage you to use free available tools if you cannot afford to pay. It's not required for you to pay a plan just to create this ePortfolio. But if you can pay, go ahead and do that. That will give you more features in the platform you want to use to create. Now, there are many tools which you can use to create online student portfolios. And this is just a recommendation list. I'm not asking you to just stick on this, which the one presented on that link. This is just recommendation. So you can follow those one. You can pick one from that list. But if not, you can search and get one for yourself. And maybe you have already created a website and you are familiar with any website creation tool, use that one. Okay. So for my case, the website at which I have shared with you with my portfolio, that was in Wix. So when you click on this link here, it will take you to this web page here with the tools listed there. And now these are some of the tools listed, and they have also shared some tutorial videos, which is good to get you started. You see. It includes those tools, as you can see. And Wix is not here, though I found it to be very good because Wix is also other famous website creation tools. You don't need to have like coding knowledge to be able to create your ePortfolio or website. It is just the way you can just type normally and you create your ePortfolio very easily. So you can use these tools, one of these tools, and if not, you can choose yours. Going back to my slides now, I have also shared some ePortfolio tutorial videos, which you can use. Okay, let me see here. Something is missing here. I don't know. Okay. I will share these slides for you to watch the videos. And also, I have a video for WordPress and another video for Google site. Okay. All right. Now, the development of this portfolio, you will develop it one step at a time. So starting next week, starting this week, you will start developing it one step at a time. So that is why I have the weekly assignments. This helps you to create small piece of the ePortfolio in 1 week. For this week, for the next module, you will create the about page, okay? The home page. And thereafter, you create one item on each week. All right. So also you will add artifacts to okay. The artifacts should be to all the components within the standard. Now, previously I had two components item for each week, but for this year I will have so all the components within the standard to be covered in a week. Now, also each week you will submit a link to your ePortfolio on Canvas. And there will be also discussion board, which provide opportunities to share ideas and opinions and experience given on the topics we have learned, or which can help us, help you to increase your understanding of the technology used in teaching and learning. So that is all. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much and bye-bye.